I want to be the very best
That no one ever was. Boom, boom, boom.
Beautiful. You didn't let me down there. I'm proud of you.
I never would, bro. I never will.
No,
Look at me. Look at me.
Yeah.
I never will.
Not when it comes to the Pokemon
I will
theme
always
tune.
back you on that shit.
I still remember us being on a night out once. I believe it was with Dave.
Talking about going on the X Factor.
Yeah, and I was genuinely like, oh, lads, I don't know. And they were like, you guys, you're coming with us. You can't leave.
Did we apply? Did we drunkenly
I
apply?
think Dave applied, yeah. And I don't think
I've got a vague memory of pulling up the application form in the pub.
I think her application was submitted.
Do you know what? Crying shame left. Honestly, if the X Factor came back, I would rally the troops and I would right that wrong.
I feel like I'm past it now.
I would right that wrong. I mean, look, we'd be in the groups, which in a good way, it's a good thing because it would save us from the overs category. You don't want to be in the overs.
We're obviously leading with the Pokemon.
Yes, that's the audition.
Are we then branching out, or are we sticking to theme tunes? Like, what's...
It's good to have a niche, and I would quite happily have that niche.
So we're looking at things like Happy Days?
Yeah, but you know what? That can be, 50s week, 60s week, even though it was an 80s show, 70s show.
Friends slaps.
Yeah. You got to think, because they themed the weeks. So they'd have like Rock Week, Disco Week. So we'd have to theme it around that.
How many TV shows have a disco theme tune?
Well, we could just do some disco stew shit.
I don't know. I feel like we need to branch out. I think our talent is such that we can afford to branch out.
Well, let's do it. Let's branch out.
What would we have called ourselves?
Oh, well.
Would it have just been crossing swords? There's more swords involved.
We've sort of branded that now, so if it does come back, we're going to have to change.
Yeah.
What would you think? I mean, obviously we can't say for sure because we're only two parts of this group.
Yeah. I feel like Dave would just be happy with anything. The Nudists, maybe?
I don't really want to perform nude. I just want to throw that out there.
No, that will be the twist. We're fully clothed.
We're fully clothed.
Yeah. People will come being like, oh, shit.
But we're actually layered up.
Yeah, to fuck. Yeah, apart from me, because I do get quite hot, but I'm
So you might be
covered.
close to nude.
Not fully nude. Like, probably similar to
close,
now.
Close to nude.
Shorts and a deep V.
You don't need a full 3-minute song to derobe.
Never.
No.
Much like my love making, it's well within the first minute. I never put a playlist on for sex.
Luckily,
let's put it that way.
You don't have to pay the royalties. You're always within that first.
Done within the first song.
Yeah, you're always done within that first little bracket before
the suggestion of the idea to completion of the act.
Before you have to pay for it.
The finishing of the sobbing. Yeah.
The wiping up of the tears and the other things.
Yeah, all the bodily juices.
All gets done.
That's
all
really
covered.
Isn't it? Bodily juices.
You said it.
Yeah, I did, and I'm sort of regretting
Get
it
this
now.
chat out now, because I don't want you to be standing there telling Simon Cowell this shit.
I think Simon will see the talent we have to offer. He's a man of great vision.
Yeah, but I don't want to then stand there having an awkward chat while you say, "Listen, Simon, all my love making and my bodily juices."
Coach? Like, whose house
out of
do
the
we wanna see?
OGs?
Yeah.
I mean,
I think Sharon.
Shazza. I'd love to meet Ozzy.
Yeah, I just think Sharon's awesome.
I'd go for Sharon Osbourne.
She's got a bit about her. Do you know what I mean?
There's a feistiness to her.
Yeah. I think she's still a very attractive woman.
Okay, let's lay some ground rules here. No hitting on our coach. Or
if
our,
it's Sharon
our
Osbourne,
judge.
I cannot promise you that.
If it's Louis Walsh?
Probably be a bit different. He's not my type.
What about him?
The fact he's a man.
Bro.
I know it's really
so discriminating. No, I mean, really.
It's really disgusting. So I'm sorry to all the men.
Everyone knows if you want to be a true lefty, you've got to be open to a little bit of bisexuality. That's just the way the world goes.
That's why I'm more of a centrist nowadays. It was that requirement in particular.
It was the requirement to suck a dick that just pushed you right wing.
Homophobia was just, it wouldn't allow me to go down the left anymore.
You could touch it, Dick, but you can kiss it goodnight, you know?
I couldn't even touch it. I could maybe look at it for a few seconds.
Have you heard?
But I won't look at it in the eyes.
I'm presuming you have. You've heard the Paul Gascoigne story talking about him and Les Ferdinand at the Euros. He says they were standing there in the showers before the game, the game against Scotland.
Yeah.
And he sees Les Ferdinand's cock in the showers, and he says, "It's like this microphone." He's like, "It's fucking huge." And I said, "Oh, Les, let us hold it, like you do, like, you know, almost like it was a stag do."
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the only context.
And he was like, "Oh, don't." He's like, "All right, be quick." So he said, "I held it." He's like, "Fucking beast of a cock, like really
Why was
heavy
he
thing.
holding it? Why was Les Ferdinand fine with it?
He said, and then I went out. He said, and against Scotland, and I played really well, banged in that goal. Chipped it over his head and volleyed it into the bottom corner. He says, well, you can imagine. I was like, that's got to be a pre-match routine now. He says, I went into the next game and he was like, Les, you've got to let me touch your cock again. And Les was like, no, it's a fucking one-time thing, man. I'm not just letting you hold my dick.
Did he get sent off or something?
No, he went and moaned. He went and moaned at the manager and was like, and the
He
manager like came in and went, Les, just let him hold your cock.
Imagine being Les Ferdinand and being made to feel like he was the one.
Your dick's the
To be honest with you, though, it sort of is his fault because he let him do it in the first place. Like, who, when their mate sees their knob and for some reason your mate's response to seeing your knob was,
Can I
let
hold
me
it?
hold it. Your response shouldn't then be, yeah, all right.
Yeah, okay, yeah, sure. Grab a Copperfield.
Yeah. Do a bit of David. Do you know what I mean?
It was good though. It's a good story, well told.
No, absolutely. Speaking of penises, I mean, no, it's not really.
Is that
But I need you to close your eyes.
I swear. Do you know what? I was watching a clip, right, the trailer that we put up for an
Yeah,
episode
yeah.
a couple, and part of it is me just going, I swear, I feel like I'm always fucking closing my eyes on this one. And here we are again. Okay, do you know what? Fine, I'll close my
I
eyes.
find it amusing making you close
Hands
your
out
eyes.
or hands in?
What do you mean?
How heavy is your dick? Do I need both hands, or do I just? I mean, I've heard the rumours.
We might have to get someone else in as well.
Yeah, do we need a crane?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's just for me. Let alone
Okay.
the penis.
Eyes closed. Oh, bashed into the mic.
Right. I have got us this.
Can I open them?
Yeah. It's down. Why do you never look at the table? You look to me every
No, I
time.
look- Do you know, you're my guiding light.
Yeah.
You're my rock. You're right. I want to see when my world's dark and the light comes in for the first time. You are that light.
Do you know what it is? It's because I look like Buddha.
That's not what the comment section on YouTube is saying. It's close.
So what I've got us.
It's close, but that's not what the comment section on YouTube is saying.
Speaking of nerdy stuff, I went to Harry Potter World yesterday. At the time of recording. So I thought I'd treat us to some butterbeer.
Thank you, sir. I owe you so much shit. 'Cause you just constantly bring me stuff.
And I bought myself a nice glass to go with it, a butterbeer glass.
That's not. I've got.
I didn't get you one.
No,
though.
I don't have a glass. I don't have a glass.
But I have got you. I didn't want you to feel left out. You can use this. It's never been
oh,
used
is it
before.
chilled?
No, it's
No.
not chilled. It's just
I just
frosted.
think it's just the colour of it. I'll hide it that way because they're not our sponsors yet.
Well, we're still waiting to hear
Still
from
waiting to hear from
Liquid,
Liquid
there,
Death.
which, by the way, I'm very disappointed. I'm ashamed in them, really. The email I sent them was so impressive, in my opinion.
I imagine they get. See how I waited this time.
Yeah, that's
See
fine.
how I was
you can-
respectful.
You can crack it. Oh, it smells interesting. It's butterbeer from Harry Potter, so it's a
Oh, it smells quite
butterscotch
sweet.
flavour sparkling
I'm getting
soft drink.
butterscotch. I think I had a butterbeer before when I went to the Harry
This
Potter
looks
world.
a bit different from the one in there because that looks a bit creamier.
It does look creamier, doesn't it? It is a
Yeah.
thicker consistency.
Yeah, it's almost like
Are
cream.
we still talking about the butterbeer?
Right, let's give it a go.
Yeah, it's just sweet,
That's pretty
sugary.
Grim.
You don't like it?
That's grim.
I'm alright with it. I think it's alright.
I think the one in there is nicer.
Do you know what it's got a hint, and I think it would really benefit from? Just like a little hit of ginger. Just like a little snap there at the end.
You definitely are a Tory, aren't you? I mean, the signs have been there all along. I haven't. Like, that's a douchebag jar moment. That is. Do you know what this could do with? Just a pinch of ginger.
Just like so
Just a thumb of ginger.
just to pack something at the end, just like a little bit of a gingery punch.
Maybe a little bit of chili powder just to.
I don't get the obsession with putting chili in everything. That's not
No,
for
me
me.
neither. I'd much rather something tasted nice and burnt my mouth off.
I think that's all right.
I think it's fucking disgusting.
You wouldn't drink that.
No.
Are you going to finish it?
Probably not. I'm going to save the rest of this bottle because my sister wanted to try it. But I'm done
Do you
with
think
that.
she'll enjoy it?
No, I don't think so.
Can I name your sister?
Yeah.
You know, I don't want you like coming at me for shit.
What are you going to call her?
Well, well, can I just say to my my new stepdaughter? No, I
You
just
can call me daddy.
that's safe for your mum, I'm afraid.
Ah, yes. Oh, mum. She's upstairs.
I know. I love the fact that she's like meters away.
She's in the building.
No, I just had to say to Joe that I think, I've not forgotten that you're owed an appearance.
No, neither have I. We're just very poor at organising ourselves.
This was organised we organised it about 3 hours ago.
Yeah, roughly. I just suddenly realised, I was like, shit, we haven't scheduled a pod, and I checked my route. I was like, well, today's one of my days off.
And it's because I'm out Wednesday, Thursday
No, which is completely fair.
in the evening.
Anything
Yes.
exciting?
Yes.
What are you doing?
On Wednesday, Thursday's just a bit of a me day.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have go out with Al. We're gonna play a little bit of golf,
very nice.
have something to eat. But on Wednesday in the
Bit of a
evening,
mandate.
I'm gonna see Blink 182.
Oh, nice. Where you going?
The O2.
Oh, cool. It's not too big.
No,
See what I mean?
it's the first time for like a decade or so that it's the three of them.
Oh, really? They've all come back?
They've got some new music out. The 3 songs that I've heard I really like.
Yeah,
So yeah, I'm here for it.
that's fair.
I'm
Yeah,
looking
brilliant.
forward to it.
No, that'd be good, and they've got some bangers.
And it's going to regress me. I'm just going to be like a teenager
Do
again.
they play some of the hits?
Yeah, they play, what
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to. And let's be honest, the moment I think the whole crowd is looking forward to is the first line of the second verse of Miss You. When Tom DeLonge just comes in with I'm really hesitant to do it with the microphone in front of me. And, when he comes in with the, "Where are you?" that bit, when he just like shouts it, it's like a really soft song. And he
Oh,
just
okay, I
punches in with it.
Oh, okay. I don't particularly remember it off the top of my head.
That's not my,
That was a good impression.
I was so hesitant. I was like, I cannot shout into this mic.
No.
Because imagine if you're just driving along listening and then suddenly it's
I
swerving.
actually don't want to get into a fight with my mum for being too noisy.
I really don't. I
No.
mean,
She's a
it's bad
feisty
enough when we
woman.
role play.
Oh, that's not that.
This is how it feels when you sat there and making all the jokes about my mum over the years.
Yeah, but like you don't join in on it, so I don't get to enjoy it as much.
Don't join in on it. I'm not joining in on sex games with my mum.
I'm not asking you to fuck your mum.
Absolutely, that's not happening.
Although, did I ever ask you if you were 1 inch inside?
Yes, I believe it's come up.
I know. I'm
I
sorry.
believe it's come up.
I mean, this isn't even what I wanted to talk about today, bro. But
No,
I
well, you
always like.
sprung a surprise on me.
Yeah.
Can I just say, by the way, cheers to the listeners.
Cheers.
Should we hang on? Should we get one right next to the
I'll raise
right next
me
to
a
the
water.
mic?
I'm leaning.
I'll just get a little.
So anyone with a drink in your hand, just do it with us.
And to the watchers, YouTube comments. You've had a little induction into the YouTube comments now, haven't you?
Yeah, there's been some more personal comments. I feel like mine were very personal in comparison to yours. Like you had one Gary Neville comment, and the rest were who are you?
Mine were very. Yeah, they were not. There was one that
Who's
targeted my
Jake?
appearance, and the rest were very much just sort of like calling me an idiot nobody.
And the worst part is, I was in defence of the king. Do you know what I mean? I don't even think that guy was paying attention to the context of the conversation. He just heard me say, "Have some fucking respect," and his response was, "Have some fucking respect for your body."
It's a cruel world, the comment section on YouTube.
Yeah, and then Ash, bless him, actually got in touch with both of us to be like in the group chat and be like, I've just noticed you guys are starting to get some attention online,
and some
you guys
negative
all right?"
attention.
And I was like, "Mate, yeah, it's what like." And then we discussed it that being friends with just between the 3 of us, let alone everyone else added in, the level of brutality at times is.
I mean, I
prepared us
remember-
very well.
Ash is adamant that Alex said this, even though I've sat there and said, "No, it was me.
Yeah,
I did it." But I remember, like, I don't know if you were there, but not long after his dad died, and I basically turned around and said, like, "I'm glad your dad's dead, so he didn't have to see you like this,"
yeah,
or something to that effect. And as I'd said it, I was like, "Fucking hell, that's crossed the line." I was like, "Jesus!" I was like, "Now I've got to wait."
yeah.
And I was really apologetic. I was like, "Ow, bro, I'm so sorry. Like, I never meant it." And then eventually he came back with like, "No. Oh, you said it. You glad my dad's dead?" And then a couple of days later, he said the same, made the same joke aimed at me. But I was like, "Oh, okay, we're good.
Yeah.
We're good." I think we joked about your dad's death not long after as well.
Immediately afterwards, I think like the next day or 2 days later, we were playing football at Power League, and yeah, the first thing you guys did was take the piss. But that put me at ease, to be honest, because I didn't want anyone to be weird with me. Like,
No,
treat me with kid gloves because my dad died.
and I think it was probably because of that I thoughtlessly said what I said to Ash. Although, well, like I said, when we were away not that long ago, when we were at Reading, he was adamant that Alex said it, and I was like, "No, bro, it was me."
Yeah.
And he was like, "No, I can hear Alex's voice. It was Alex." And that's was like, "No, it wasn't me." I was like, "No, it wasn't Alex. It was me."
Maybe Alex has just been so brutally honest with Ash in the past that he just all criticism he hears
Maybe-
through Alex's voice.
Oh well, you know, Alex is a real
Maybe
taskmaster.
that's what's going on between them. They make it sound like it's just a friendship.
But it runs a lot deeper.
They've been on a lot of stag do's together as well.
It
At
did
least
make me
one.
odd that they were just desperate to go on stag do's with each other.
All the time. And both of them are very touchy-feely when they drink. So I'm just
That's
putting
true.
two
They
and
are.
two
They are
together.
touchy-feely when they drink.
So it's all adding up. You know me in a conspiracy.
And yeah,
And that's a new one that Ash and Alex are
I'm not gonna
secretly
comment
gay
on it.
lovers.
I'm not going to comment on it because I know the internet section will just go mad at me.
Well, I'd just like to say, I know you're appalled by homophobic men, homosexual men.
Well, I mean, you were right with the first statement. I was like, I don't know why he's so upset that he said that. I was like, I think that's pretty fair.
meant to say
Homosexual men.
homosexual, And then I realised I was like, I've just said Jake.
Oh, you've
hates
basically-
gay
yeah.
haters.
Which,
Oh,
by the
that's
way, I'll raise a glass to my haters and to your haters in the comment
Absolutely.
section.
Please keep viewing and keep watching.
That's
We're
the thing I
loving
think these people don't understand. Every time they comment and call us wankers or whatever
I'm
they call
like,
us, it just drives up the algorithm to.
Well, it's more
get more views.
responses. So yeah, so like YouTube will push stuff more because it's got more interactions. These people are actually feeding our success. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I love it.
I've embraced the fact it's all about the clickbait now. So every episode, I'm just looking for a moment of like, what can I use to
Slag someone off.
that's just.
Well, it
gets
doesn't
a
even slag someone.
reaction.
It can be positive.
Well, like the
we've
thing
just
is,
not
we
chosen to
actually
be
said
positive.
Nothing about the king. You just said what king, and I was like the king.
Put some respect on
Put
it.
some respect on it, and that was it. And people are like,
They engaged
yeah,
hard.
just by tagging the king. Do you know what I mean?
He's probably the one watching it. It's probably like some second
got it
account that
on a
he's
loop.
got.
Got it on a loop.
He probably just passionately got involved. But then again, it's probably not him typing, is it? Them big old sausage fingers on a keyboard.
Speaking of getting passionately involved,
Sure.
should we talk about politics a little
The
bit?
gangbang. No, the politics.
Yeah.
Yes, the politics.
You know, I said no to the gangbangs. Stop bringing it up. It's weird.
One day or so, yes. It only needs to happen once.
It's not ever going to happen.
And
so-
you know the rule about our rule about consent on the podcast. No takebacks.
I've never consented to a gangbang
No, but you will
because of the implication.
because of the implication.
Yeah, that's fair.
Sorry,
Um,
impassioned something or other.
Yeah, Labour have had a conference now.
Yes, they're having it as we.
Yeah, we
yeah,
haven't
point of
heard from
release.
Keir Starmer at time of recording. So it's slightly too early in the week. But we've heard from the Deputy Leader and the Shadow Chancellor of the Exchequer.
Yep, and I saw a little bit of the shadow chancellor for, ecology and net zero target or whatever the
Yeah.
post is.
Is that David Lammy?
No, Ed Miliband.
Oh,
I think
Ed
David
Miliband.
Lammy's foreign secretary
Oh, is he foreign
because
sec?
he's been talking about the whole.
Yeah, you're right. He was at the Women's
Situation.
World Cup, wasn't he?
Was he?
What situation's he involved with now?
No, he's not involved in. There's just some
Oh.
really heavy shit going on in the world.
Oh, okay.
I don't necessarily touch on it.
Yeah.
But it's happening. And all I will say on it is I think people are wildly uneducated on it, and that comes
Well,
across
that's
so
the
clearly.
thing. Like, there's someone I want to talk about who's been talked about because of it. But I don't particularly want to talk about that issue. I mean, I'd like to at some point, but I don't know enough. So I don't want to sound ignorant and, I just think loss of life is terrible. So,
Yeah, no, it is.
and what's going on there is really bad.
It's always been
On
bad,
both
though. That's the
sides.
thing. It's always been bad.
Yeah.
It's never been good. Since we went in and went, right, there you go, that's your lot sorted, boff, we're out.
Why
It's
is
never
it,
been
though?
good.
I am curious because it seems to me online, from what I've seen, if you criticise Israel, you can quite often be accused of being anti-Semitic, and I don't understand why.
I think it's a bit of clever, easy, because it's the same. It's the same on the other side. I think a lot of people historically have been able to weaponize certain things and
Yeah.
certain positions, so that if you oppose them, you're against them as a person or whatever. Whereas, like for example, Netanyahu saying, right, this is it, we're going to go in and I mean, we might as well talk about it a little bit. We're sort of talking about it now, right?
Yeah.
So, like,
I mean, I don't know the full ins and outs of what's actually happened recently, other than that Hamas, which is a Palestinian terrorist group,
extremist groups, I think, is a fair.
did a lot of nasty stuff.
Well, they went into Israel. They crossed the border and they, killed,
And they
took
captured
hostages.
people, didn't they?
But I think what's really telling, and I'm not. This is where it's so dangerous because you just get bombarded from whatever side.
Yeah.
It is horrendous and it is terrible. But the Israeli treatment of Palestinians and their attacks, on Gaza, firing into Gaza, going into Gaza, just beating up people because they're Palestinian, that never gets reported on.
No, it doesn't. And I remember a while ago, because this is sort of what my knowledge base on it is that when I looked into it, that even 20 years ago, what the size of Palestine was and what Israel was and what it is now, Palestine's tiny and it's completely subsumed by Israel, and that Israel have consistently been backed by, well, us and other Western powers have...
The problem, we are the problem. Let's get that clear. And look, I'm no expert, but just to give you a very, very, very base history level here, and I don't mean you, I mean anyone listening who might not,
uninformed
is that after the war, we kind of said...
We took over Israel, didn't we? For a bit?
we sort of created Israel in a way. We kind of said to all the Jewish people that had been horrendously persecuted through the Second World War, we kind of said, look, we're going to give you a home.
Yeah.
Bosh, there you go. And the people that were already there, quite understandably, particularly of the Muslim faith, but, all the inhabitants of the land were kind of like, well, hold on a minute, what about us? And it was almost like we kind of this is a very minimalist take on it, but this is a very quick history lesson. In an almost slapdash way, we went, oh, well, all right, well, that little bit's yours then.
Yeah.
Bosh, wash our hands, problem sorted. That bit's yours, that bit's the Jews, we're done, right, we're out.
Yeah.
And
because it was a big humiliation for us the way we handled it, if I remember correctly from my
quite understandably,
in school.
Both sides were not happy with the deal.
No.
And so they have been fighting each other ever since. And unfortunately, because Israel is the bigger power, because they are backed
by the more
as you said,
nations.
By the likes of us and other nations, they are generally, and obviously I'm not saying that, like I said, I am condemning the attacks, let's make that very clear.
Oh, absolutely.
But they are generally the aggressors in this conflict.
Yes.
If you
That's
look
my understanding.
If you look at historically,
and to be honest with you, I was afraid to come on and say that.
If you look historically, the number of casualties and fatalities, year by year on each side, from particularly civilians, it is always heavily outweighed in favour of Palestinian deaths and injuries.
Yeah, and I actually saw the Palestinian ambassador went on television, and he was like, "You call me on here now." After what Hamas has done, something we have no control over. And yet, while hundreds and thousands of Palestinians were being murdered by the Israelis, where were you then? Where were you covering it? When was I invited on here to talk about that?
But I think what makes it, like I said, for me, the sad thing in it is that I've seen a lot of celebrities very quick to say, we stand with Israel. Yeah. And it's like, you have no idea you clearly don't know what you're talking about, because I'm not saying you can condemn the attacks, but I wouldn't go as far as to stand with Israel, if that makes sense.
No.
Because, like I said, it's a dangerous situation to even talk about
You're devastated by the loss of life on the Israeli side, but you also recognise what's got us to this point, which is Israel's aggression against Palestine. It's the same thing as understanding why we've had terrorist attacks. It's because of what we've done in the Middle East and the way we've treated people in the Middle East. It's a reaction.
I wasn't gonna say this on the pod. I was gonna say to you off air this.
Yeah.
But I'll say it, right? Balls to the wall. Let's say it. You love a conspiracy.
I do.
Are you ready for my conspiracy on the situation?
Shoot.
I worry. I'm not necessarily saying I think this is what happened, but there is a cynic in me that says, maybe this is what happened. that the attacks in Israeli land
Are an excuse or
were
perpetrated
perpetrated by the Israeli
Israelis.
government and by the Israeli defense forces
Yeah.
as an excuse, because as we've seen now, Netanyahu saying, right, we're going to go full force.
And
We're going to
wipe 'em
seize
out.
Gaza. We are going to seize it. We're going to go in and we're going to take the entire land, which they've been wanting to do for years.
Yeah.
And this is the excuse that they're using to do it.
Yeah.
And if you look around, the world is quite publicly willing them on.
Yeah.
They're supporting them. And there's that little cynic in me that just goes, well, I reckon they did it themselves.
Yeah.
I reckon they knew they'd get this response. It's a bit like...
Well, nations do it. Russia's done it.
I was
in the
about to say
past.
it's a bit like Putin and the Chechens. So it came out years later that Putin faked Chechen attacks so that he could
Americans-
wipe them out. And then the next year in the elections, when he
Yeah.
decided, I'm going to run for prime minister, I think it was at that point. It might have been president, and and he ran, and it was like, I'm the guy that beat the Chechen. It's like,
The American
we
ar-
only hated the Chechens because you faked attack. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
the American army had a plan approved by Congress to incite war with Cuba, that they were going to shoot
Yeah.
down some of their own
Yeah.
planes and crash some of their own planes into buildings in Cuba and in the United States to initiate a war
Yeah.
with Cuba to justify
So
it.
there is, and I realise it's so fraught with tension to even talk about it. And
Yeah. Look, it wouldn't shock me. It's been clear, as long as I've been aware of the issue of Israel and Palestine, that Palestine and Palestinians have been suffering at the hands of the Israelis. And that, would you then be shocked? Like, if we were getting attacked by the Scottish on a regular basis, or if we were attacking the Scottish,
which
that
would be
a
the
bit
more likely,
Yeah.
let's be fair, historically has been the more
And-
likely.
they decided to attack us back. You can't be shocked by that.
No. You can
Um,
condemn it and you can be mad by it.
Absolutely.
And the choice to attack civilians in particular.
Yeah.
But yeah, you can't be.
No. And we've seen it time and time again. And I think, sadly, the Palestinians, it doesn't look good for them as things stand. There doesn't seem anyone who's really condemning the behaviour or condemning the potential response.
Yeah, like. Yeah, so I didn't necessarily want to talk about it. Cause
And I
think
don't know the history of their tensions, who's done what, who, like there might be lots of things the Palestinians have done that I don't know about, of provocation or killing.
there's
or
been
something.
violence on both sides. Yeah.
Exactly. So there's blood on everyone's hands. But
But you can only imagine, if you look at a map, you can only imagine that a small state nation
yeah,
hemmed in entirely by this larger nation.
yeah,
You can imagine, if there's fighting between the two of them, you can imagine which side's taking the biggest battering
yeah.
time after time.
All you need. I remember when I first looked it up, all I did was Google what's going on between Israel and Palestine, and one of the first things that came up were maps over the years and how it just very steadily Palestine got smaller and smaller.
Mm.
So yeah, but no, it's fucked. But what I found interesting, it was one of the questions I wanted to ask you, was why is Jeremy Corbyn still relevant?
It's the anti-Semitism thing, isn't it?
Yeah, but
And
why?
it's
Like, why?
because the Tories have nothing else to go on, and the Tory press have nothing else to go
'Cause
on.
I just don't get it. I think what I think is that he represents the left to them. Like,
The hard left.
yeah, like
Yeah.
he's socialism. He's that movement of younger people that want to change things radically. So I just think they want to discredit his image and therefore the left's image as much as humanly possible. So anytime anything comes up with Israel or anti-Semitism, he's brought out,
There was a.
and they twist what he says. And I actually got a picture
Have
of.
you got? Did you see the clip that I shared briefly on?
I don't know if it
it
was. No, it wasn't a clip, but it was the Independent did an article about something Corbyn had said, and it was Jeremy Corbyn refuses to condemn Hamas after deadly attack on Israel. And then the person who quote tweeted this article said, what Jeremy actually said was, we need an immediate ceasefire and urgent de-escalation. We need a route out of this tragic cycle of violence.
Yeah.
What's
So this interview,
controversial?
I saw this. So he was hounded in the street. He was just walking along,
Yeah,
and the reporter gets in him, and they had that interaction, and then Jeremy said, one of the last things Jeremy said is, he said, look. He sort of stopped him and went, look, you know, why are you hounding me? He was like, will you condemn the attacks? And he said, look, let's make it very clear. He said, I am fighting. He repeated that statement. I think there should be a ceasefire, and I urge, a peaceful way forward, or whatever he says in the thing. And then he says, and I quote, I condemn attacks on all sides.
Yeah.
And then walks away. And do you want to know what the reporter says?
Yeah.
He's literally just said, I condemn attacks on all sides. And the report says, so do you condemn the attack? Like, bro, like, as I quote tweeted, were you born stupid or did someone teach you that? Because the man's literally just said it.
He's been quite clear.
Yeah.
But it's worrying that can be done. Like, that's what he said, but that's what they take from it. Do you know what I mean?
Well, are you aware I've not seen that apparently there was some fake AI audio of Keir Starmer going round the last week or so?
No, I haven't seen that.
And to the point where Tom Tugendhat, Tory...
What, reacted
prominent,
to it?
He came out and said, look, let's make this very clear. It's fake. Don't listen to it. And, let's be clear that this is...
Then, was it?
Well, he was like, let's be clear that this is dangerous for all of politics.
Yeah.
And we need to be very vigilant on it.
Well, yeah. Because someone might listen to that and think it's genuinely him and not see the comments or the next post that says...
I'm starting to get clued up on getting caught out on AI stuff, but because I'm so blasé in the way I'm passive in the way I take things I was getting caught out a lot.
No, I found it would be no more than a few seconds into a video, because I get a lot of Joe Rogan ones pop up and there's shitloads of AI Joe Rogan. And almost immediately I'm like, nah, it's the wrong cadence to his voice. Do you know what I mean? You can just...
You tell, instinctively you can tell.
It's close, but I mean, it will get there the way it's going. But currently, you can, if you're paying attention, you can tell.
Have you seen as well, just switching back to the Labour thing, have you seen that, like, historically, parties don't, and particularly leaders and ministers, don't do any events, don't make any public appearances whilst the other conferences going on?
Is that a rule then, is it?
It's unwritten. There's no rule about it, but just historically it's never been done.
Okay.
So while the Tory conference is done,
and then
Keir Starmer would not be appearing
at
any event. They wouldn't be going to a launch of something. They wouldn't be going to... And this week, Rishi went to an event, and he got called out by one of the journalists who said, historically, Prime Minister...
You shouldn't be seen in public right now.
You don't do events whilst, you guys don't do events whilst the other one's doing thing. He says, so is this a sign of desperation that you feel you need to make sure that Sir Keir, you're trying to draw attention away from their things?
And what did he say?
He said, no, of course not. He said, I just believe, I'm here because this is a great company with a great project and great people.
Yes, he didn't answer the question.
It was like... It's an interesting move to even be doing it.
Yeah, do you want to see a really awkward moment with, or listen to a really awkward moment?
Are you showing me more dating clips?
No, this is of our Prime Minister and leader.
Are a man without a mandate. You are a man without a mandate. You haven't got a mandate from the country. You haven't got a mandate from your own party. You're now making huge decisions about scrapping part of HS2 without anyone apart from a core of your own MPs giving you this job. If you were really serious about the long term, why don't you just go to the country?
Because that's not what the country wants. I go out and about every day.
Every day, Jay.
You are
every day he's out there.
Every day.
Do you want a general election? No, we don't want to decide who's leading us.
No, and there's one more. I just want to play it because it made me chuckle, and it's listen out for his laugh.
I showed you that in private. Oh no, a Prime Minister thing.
Why should we vote Conservative? Morning, Prime Minister. My question's broken down into two parts, really.
Right.
Why should we vote Conservative? And more importantly, with the mess left by your predecessor, why should we vote for you?
Look, right, it's a good one to end on before we get on to the media. Right.
Why should you vote for us? Fuck, let me just play for time a little bit.
Yeah, I think the first thing I'd say is we've all collectively got to look to the future. Right? I could spend a lot of my time talking about the past and what happened.
Yeah, don't do that.
Whatever I inherited and all the rest of it, which I've touched on. Right, but that doesn't help any of you.
Doesn't help you.
Like,
no,
what we need to figure out is what's the right thing for our country going forward. And that's what I'm looking forward to. And this my simple answer to your question is that, right? That I know all of you want to see change. right?
It's out there every day.
Change in the direction of our country.
He knows what the people want.
Right? A feeling that things need to work better, that your kids' future will be better, right? I want to see that too. I am hungry to deliver that change for you.
What's amazing to me, and has always been amazing about this batch of Tories, going back to like Johnson and co, I don't think May did it. I'm not saying I liked May and whatever, but in terms of like the political arena, I feel like she was the last
that had standards.
She was the last of an era of politicians. Politicians acted as politicians for decades and eons, and she was kind of the last one. And Johnson came in and was already acting like a buffoon.
I feel the Windrush generation
outright
might
lying and stuff like
you.
that. No, I'm not saying she's without, but what she wouldn't do is continually come out and say things that just weren't true, and be fact checked there and then. Like politicians would always make mistakes, and they'd always say stupid things, but Boris did it so blatantly and to the point of, I don't care that you know I'm lying. I'm just going to keep saying it.
I don't remember him ever being in an interview where anyone actually tried to nail him down. They would just let him say whatever he wanted.
But Boris and Rishi as well, it's so funny to me that they act like they haven't been in charge for the last 30, like their party haven't been in charge for the last 13 years.
He's just happened upon this situation.
I mean, even him personally, what's this now, 2 years since he took charge? No.
It's not 2 years.
Year.
It's about a year. Yeah.
About a year since he took charge.
I think he might have just hit his year, which it was a very quiet anniversary.
And Boris was kind of saying the same things when he'd been in charge for like 3 years, 4 years, whatever it was before he left. And it's like, bro, you've even had time to make the changes.
Oh, absolutely.
Like, it's so funny that they're talking to us as if they're not the ones that have been in charge. It just...
Yeah, like one of the things I wanted to talk about was because... And I've got some clips of Rayner and Reeves, and then like what Labour have been saying, and like if you just compare it just briefly to the Conservatives, there was nothing in it. There was no policy. There was no we're going to do this. There was no... It was all just division and hatred, and there was no message of hope. Like the thing is that Conservatives are still in a position with the amount of MPs they have that if they were organised or actually gave a shit about the people that they serve, they could be spending between now and the next election winning themselves the election and doing good shit for people. They're still choosing not to. They're in their most desperate position they've ever been in, and they are still choosing not to do things that are good for the public.
They made very clear that they're fighting the next election on wokeism.
Yeah.
On culture, basically. Culture war.
They just want to turn as many poor people as possible against their own.
Yeah.
That's all it is. Because, like, the rich people will still vote Tory because it will benefit them. Like, people who send their kids to private school won't want to vote Labour now.
Did you see the article from the bloke who... It was kind of going viral because he was like, you know, even when I find out people didn't go to eat, and I do judge them a bit differently.
No.
Like, I'm an eating man, and I do...
Of course
I hold people in more respect if I find out they went there, you know.
I feel like I'm the least surprised person on the planet when I hear what Tories come out with. When they're like, well, yeah, I don't. Like, when Rishi Sunak was like, I don't have any working class friends. It's like, yeah, I knew that.
Look at him.
Like, everyone knew that. No one looked at Rishi Sunak and went, yeah, I bet he's down the local boozer or greasy spoon. Do you know what I mean? That's not happening. So, yeah, like, they're all entitled.
Did you see Keir as well at the weekend watching the football?
No.
He's like, he was watching the Arsenal game.
I'm sure he was.
He was like, I've always got time, you know, I'll always make time for the Arsenal. You know, what a goal in the 86th minute or something. It's like, no one speaks like that. No one speaks like that. No one speaks like that. He's like, you know, all the 86th minute, it's like said no one ever.
No.
And then there's a there's a load of parodies coming out.
Yeah, his missus do a speech for him before.
Yeah, open for him.
And they did the whole, Rishi didn't even know I was going to do this. And it was like, oh, yeah, all right, love.
What do you think you'd like Leanne to say if she opened for you at a speaking conference?
I'm just a nice sound bloke and he wants to do right by other people. Here he is.
I feel like if there's a way to make people think you're not a nice sound bloke, is to get your wife up front and say he's a nice sound bloke.
That's why I didn't work for Rishi.
And no, he's not a racist.
Yeah.
You know, if you...
He loves women.
Let's be fair, immediately you think racist. Yeah, immediately you think misogynist.
Immediately you think he smacks women.
I just want to be very clear that I don't know if this is the direction you want to go in.
Look, I just want the people to know what I'm about, and I'm about good stuff for all. I think that's all they need to know.
I'd vote.
I feel like the rest is all about gravitas. It's all about charm, charisma, and I've got that in spades. So.
We've said it before though as well, isn't it? It is something that Sir Keir Starmer lacks.
Oh, 100%.
Is a charm,
to be honest,
a personability.
All of this current crop of politicians, whether it's Labour or the Conservatives, none of them are particularly.
But I'll tell you why I quite like Angela Rayner.
I like
for example,
her, but she's not.
No, but I'll tell you why I like her, because it's so clear what she stands for. So
Yeah.
she's clearly passionate about
She
helping
wants more people to have the opportunity she did.
She thinks she's got the answers to the way the country's run. I'm just talking about in terms of like left and right. You know, a purist would say, we think we've got the answers, we think we've got the answers, but the ultimate game is helping people. So I can see that she's genuinely passionate about helping people.
Well, that's what, when she's doing something as a politician, it's a rare example of it. The outcome always to her actions seem to be, this is something that's going to benefit people. Like, it's not to further herself, it's not to further things, but it's about, I want to enact as many things as possible that help as many people as possible, no matter who they vote for.
And you talked about as well, Paul talked about policies. I did see some of Ed Miliband's policies.
Okay.
So double on land, onshore wind farms.
Nice.
I think triple solar panels.
Sweet.
And solar farms. Solar panel farms. And quadruple offshore wind farms. Cool. And invest in hydrogen and there was another form of energy, but green energy.
Basically stuff we should have been doing for the last 13 years. Yeah, and that every other big developed nation is currently already.
They were criticised for saying, "Look, you've talked about, you want to borrow money," and Labour have said, "We will only borrow money
where we have to."
No, if it leads to investment in the UK and in the UK economy.
Yeah. If
it's for anything else, if it's just for like spending for the sake of spending or to get a service up and running, it's only if we think we can attract investment.
I remember.
So, for example, in the renewables, in the green energy field.
I remember listening to an economist fucking years ago now, and it must have been not that long after they announced austerity in the first place. And he was like, the really simple, easy way to get yourself out of this situation is to invest. He said, it doesn't matter if that's from an outsourced investor, whether you're getting debt, it doesn't matter, as long as it's going into investing in your infrastructure, your public services, whatever it might be. Create jobs, cut taxes, and it will stoke your economy and you'll be fine again. And we did the complete opposite for 13 years.
Do you remember how when we first went into austerity and we all kind of thought, right, this will be tough, buckle your belts, this is going to be a real shit show. And then what happened was we're now on like more austerity reboots than Sharknado films or police academies. It's like, well, we're doing austerity again. It's like, bro, at this point it's just a soap opera. It's just a never-ending thing.
Yeah. And the only reason we haven't gone into a depression is because our central bank that's independent from our government was able to do shit that stopped it.
Now, are you aware of former Governor of Bank of England, Mark Carney?
Endorsing Rachel Reeves?
Endorsing Rachel Reeves. Now, it's not uncommon for governors and former governors to favour one or the other.
Yeah.
But for him to come out and say, and I think the words he said were, I think it's about time that a lot of her ideas were implemented. That's a big statement, and it's not a common thing. That doesn't happen often with someone saying, I think this Chancellor should be doing what they're
Shall we hear
promising.
A little bit of Rachel Reeves?
Let's do it.
I'm liking the clips. I don't know about
Labour's task is to restore hope to our politics. The hope that lets us face the future with confidence, with a new era of economic security, because there is no hope without security. You cannot dream big if you cannot sleep in peace at night. The peace that comes from knowing that you have enough to put aside for a rainy day, and the knowledge that when you need them, strong public services will be there for you and your family. The strength that allows a society to withstand global shocks, because it is from those strong foundations of security that hope can spring. Conference, the choice at the next election is this: 5 more years of the Tory chaos and uncertainty which has left working people worse off, or a changed Labour Party offering stability, investment and economic security so that working people are better off. It falls to us to show that Labour are ready to serve, ready to lead and ready to rebuild Britain.
A few things I want to say. First of all, my little was because I was literally talking about to someone the other day at work, the point where she says, you know, about having a little nest egg put aside.
Yeah.
I was literally talking to someone at work the other day where I said it's so depressing that we can't save on what we're earning. Like, we just cannot. And the cost of everything, it's like, you should be able to put a bit of money away and everything. It's like, I can't. And particularly because at the moment he's dealing with this, he's having to sell his mum's house to put her into care.
Yeah.
To pay for that. He's like,
that's
because we don't. He's like,
away.
And he's like, if I need to be put into care or whatever, he's like, I've got nothing.
No.
Like, there's no money put aside for it. And yeah, so I sort of laughed at that too. The thing I always notice, and I thought this during the Tory conference as well.
Yeah.
Is it always seems very odd to me. And look, I don't want this to be their area of expertise. I want their job to be their area of expertise. I want for Rachel Reeves, I want the economy and I want money and finances to be her area of expertise.
Just pausing slightly, she worked for the Bank of England as an economist, and so she's fairly experienced.
There's something very odd about political speeches because none of them ever come across, and I was trying to think of it as she was saying. I was like, what's happening? What am I hearing? And to me, it's that none of them come across like natural
No, they're
speakers.
not confident
It's never
speakers.
natural speech.
No.
It's always to the point, and the cadence is always like I'm trying to make a point.
Yeah, and it throws the audience because they're always clapping at the wrong points as well. Like when they're clearly not finished talking, but because their speeches are great.
And I appreciate it's a different thing because they're going for laughs, and I get that. But if you watch some of the more personable comedians who are, to a sense, doing the same thing, they're going out there.
They're working a room.
They've got a script. They're working a room based on words that have been written, and with jokes, you know, a lot of the time the wording is very important, otherwise you fuck the joke. So they're working with scripts, they're working a room, and they're trying to get an emotion out of people, but they're so natural.
Yeah.
And it sounds like they're just riffing with you, and it's coming off. Whereas with these speeches, it's always
I mean, the big difference between the two would be that comedians work a circuit, don't they? They work a room multiple nights a week for years.
You hone the craft.
It takes a long time. Having listened to a lot of comedians, it's an art form. It's like, even with people like, I don't know if you've seen him, there's a guy called Matt Rife, and he's an American comedian that's blown up on social media, and he's now doing arena tours, and he's like in his early 20s or like mid 20s. And there's a lot of comedians hating on him, saying, like, he hasn't earned it, look how old he is. And then other comedians have been like, he's been working the circuit for the last 10, 12 years since he was a teenager. He has absolutely earned it. Yeah, he's got lucky that it's all blown up and whatever, but he's fucking put the miles in. But, like, you don't go from, like, 'cause he's a good-looking guy, he's in good shape. But unless you're actually good at work in a room, like he's got famous off of crowd work. So unless you're comfortable working on your feet, and like that's what most of his tour is apparently, is crowd work.
It's risky, that.
Yeah.
So you've really got to be able to work the room.
Arena level rooms, crowd work, you need to be good at what you're doing and to feel comfortable doing that. Because literally anything could happen.
Do you know what I'd quite like if I was a comedian? I'd love to work the room at like a corporate event, because you can. If you do a bit of research beforehand, talk to a couple of people who are organising it, you can make it really personal.
Apparently, they're the best paying gigs, but the worst to perform.
Yeah,
from comedians.
Yeah, because everyone's drunk and entitled, and
they
think
don't
they're funnier.
actually want to see you.
No,
they're not there for that. They're there to get some sort of a award, or it's a meeting, or what. They don't actually give a shit that you're there.
No.
But yeah, the thing is with them, with the politicians, I think they've become so detached from the people they serve that there's no comfortability there. They're not comfortable talking to the general public, or even to a room of their own peers and people that are there to see them.
But also,
I
do appreciate the double-edged sword of, if, for example, Rachel Reeves, just talking about, because we're talking about, if she were to come out and be very casual and she'd be like, you know, guys, let me talk about the economy here, okay? Let's, you know, what we need to do is we need to get a bit of hope going, because we need hope, but to get hope we need security.
Yeah.
And you can't have hope without security. How can you have hope if you're not sleeping at night?
Yeah.
How can you have hope if you can't put any money away? You know, if she'd have come out and done it a bit more like that,
Yeah.
I appreciate she'd have been completely criticised for not taking it seriously, and she's a chancellor who's
I
not
think
ready.
Also, they're all desperate for it to be rousing. They all want that rapturous.
Well, I was going to say the third thing I
applause
was going to say is, do you know what sounds like we need to do?
What?
Stand up and fight.
I haven't got that as a sound.
No, we don't
yet,
need
I'm
it. I'll
afraid.
do it. I'll say it.
Just stand up and fight.
Stand. No, you've got to do the pauses. You've got to do the stand up and fight.
Okay, fair enough.
Because stand up, see, again, we're talking about stand up and fight is too natural.
But I listened to all of her speech, and here is an abridged version of what Labour is promising.
Excellent.
To go after Tory fraud during COVID, specifically the fraud.
7 billion or whatever that
Yeah,
was.
particularly for the support they were giving to people during the pandemic. There's about 7 billion of fraud there. They want to make sure they go after that. Put safeguards in place to stop any government bringing in what Trust did ever again, or doing anything like that, making such a huge change that's uncosted, unapproved, that's actually being condemned by financial organisations.
That in a
before you've
week
done
tanked
it.
the economy, basically.
Yeah, to basically stop any government being
Any
able
good
to do that
government
ever again.
Any good government should take a good few years to tank an economy.
Well,
they shouldn't be able to do it in a day.
Shouldn't want to tank an economy either.
But no, most of them do. But they shouldn't be able to do it in a day.
No.
You shouldn't be able to tank the economy on a Friday and clock off to go down the pub.
Yeah, and then Monday everything's fucked.
And
Do you
then,
know what I mean?
yeah.
So yeah, they're going to put safeguards in place to stop that ever happening again. No ministers using private jets anymore.
And cutting on aides and advisors, wasn't it, as well?
Yeah, as well, massively. Or you've got to be able to, before you get the approval for funding, prove that there's going to be a net benefit and what that net benefit is and whether it's worth the money you're spending. Tax big tech companies. Non-dom status, go after that. VAT on private schools, build more homes, a real living wage. She promised to be the first female chancellor. Apparently we've never had a female chancellor in the history of the role in 800 years.
To be fair, we barely had one that wasn't white until the last few years.
That's true. And then she promised to repair our public services, more police, more nurses, more doctors, teachers, but also cut down on waste in all areas of public service.
Well, I will say this about the NHS, like having gone through the process a few times and having known people that work there. The one thing that the NHS has absolutely bucket loads of, and I don't think they need,
What's that?
middle management.
Yeah.
There are so many, and they do nothing. Like, with all due respect, all they want to do is, because there's so many managers at a similar level,
Yeah.
all they want to do is just pass the buck to each other.
Yeah.
Like, I know a couple of people who worked in the NHS on the administrative side, and I've known a couple of nurses, and
they're all on bloated salaries.
they say
as
the
well.
same thing as well. Yeah, they say the same thing. It's like, if you take any issues that you need resolving to a manager,
Yeah.
all they'll do is they'll say,
Pass it up to
"Oh,
the
you
next
need to
one.
see so and so," and once you've gone round the circle, you will end up back at the same one, where one will finally say, "No, that's so and so's responsibility." It's like, well, the fucking bloke I went and spoke to, the person I went and spoke to first.
Yeah.
There's a lot of that, and
There's
I
a
do
lot of
think that could
madness
be.
going on in there.
Also, I saw that they were going to offer overtime to the
Yes,
NHS
to encourage more.
and to clear the backlog.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think it's good.
What worries me a little bit is that they didn't commit to what a real living wage was.
No, that'll be interesting. Well, they've not really, they've committed to all of this, but we've not got any meat on the bones of any of it, how they're going to deliver it.
No.
Like, the scrapping the VAT status on private schools has been linked to about 6 different areas they've mentioned wanting to fund. And obviously, it's not going to stretch that far, so we actually need to know how they're going to do it. But obviously, a lot of it's going to require borrowing more.
Yeah.
But if
It is going to require borrowing more.
Yeah, I think my main concern really is it going to make enough of a difference before the Tories next get in? Because eventually they will. It doesn't. I don't know how long that time scale is. But Labour won't be in charge forever.
Do you think, and it was a big criticism of Jeremy Hunt today, do you think that it was wrong for Rachel Reeves not to mention inflation during her speech?
What? Because it drives everything else.
Well, because it's such a factor in the tanking economy.
I don't know whether it's an issue she didn't mention it. I would like to assume with someone of her background, she's fully aware of it and is going to deal with it. I guess it's just the way you sort of have to approach it.
But would it concern you that she didn't mention it?
I hadn't noticed she hadn't mentioned inflation. So it doesn't particularly concern me, to be honest. It's not something I'd...
This is only a look, and it's... We've spoken before about the left and the right being polarised, and people take sides now. But in terms of just political left and political right, this is the stuff where it comes into it, is I believe that borrowing money is okay up to a point, as long as the aim of borrowing
is to increase your income.
Well, is to give people at the bottom money, because my belief is that the only way to get an economy going again
is to give people at the bottom the money,
because they go and spend the money.
Yeah,
they go and spend their money in the high street and in the shops and on the restaurants and the bars, and then they, they're paying their taxes and they're paying it back.
That
and
pays for more staff in whatever establishments they're shopping.
The growing industries, they've got to hire more people. Yeah, more that's the way it gets going. Is more disposable income at the bottom. Yeah, that's absolutely what I think you and I...
Yeah, and I think, to be honest with you, I think if Labour do get elected and they don't do that and don't put money back in the pockets of normal people, they're not going to last very long.
No.
So...
But also you've got to find that balance, because it's no good... I appreciate equally that it's no good you and I suddenly getting a £5,000 a year increase in our wages, but the cost of food, rent and food all goes up at an equal rate.
What needs to be clamped down on, really, because one of the biggest impactors is the greed of companies in this country. Like the retail companies, including the one I work for currently, have been allowed to repeatedly abuse their customers. They have increased their prices to a level they didn't need to increase them to.
Well, I think...
And they're scamming people with, get a loyalty card and we'll knock some of the money off.
Or invest,
so you can afford to sell it for that price, you're just choosing not to.
What's the
and the only block in the way is them signing up for something they're not paying for. So what they're telling you is, we can afford to charge you less for all of these products, but we don't want to.
But we will only charge you less if you exclusively come here and you don't spend any money, and then if you don't divvy up your wages to the others. We want to
force a lot of people that are frugal to have to go and shop in multiple different shops to shop around and get the bits they need to get.
I think what's the most insulting
and they're still paying more with those offers than they would have been.
And we've said this before
a little while ago.
The most insulting thing is that we're talking about a cost of living crisis, about we can't afford this, we can't afford to eat, we can't afford to have 3 meals a day, we can't afford to live, we can't afford to pay our rent, we've all got... And yet these companies are like, well, they're saying like, look, it's really tight, costs have gone up and whatever.
But they're posting shitloads of money.
No, not even that. They're posting beyond that. They're posting record profits. So it's like, so I know where the money's going. I can fucking see it.
Yeah, it's not
so
difficult.
Why don't you just take a hit on the profits and then we can all live? You're still making money and we're all able to live.
Well, the thing is, though, that requires a change of attitude of the entire way our society's worked for a long time.
Capitalism, it's a complete capitalistic overhaul.
But that's at the centre of everything in what we do is capitalism.
And I appreciate there's no real way to cap it. There's no real way to, because you'd have to put some figures on it. You'd have to put...
Well, the only way to fix these issues is for government or oversight. It doesn't have to be governmental oversight, but oversight that these companies are accountable to. That there's a regulator that is also accountable to something else, so it can't be corrupted. Because quite often what happens with these things, they end up somehow on the take of the companies they're regulating, so they just give them whatever rating they want. It's done in all areas of regulating, it seems.
Every industry.
So you need to regulate the regulators as well. But yeah, to stop them, that can analyse, all right, this is what this should cost, this is what it should cost, will be fair, bring it down to this price.
Do you know what's just occurred to me? We sort of always pride ourselves on sort of being just like you're down the pub having a chat.
Yeah.
And people are just joining in on that. Welcome to our chat, by the way. It's a really douchebaggy chat for us to have a few pints and just start talking about our views on the economy and how to fix the economy. So, no, bro, listen.
Well, I listened to an economist, right?
Listen, I'm telling you, if you want to grow the economy,
you just need to borrow a little bit.
It's fucking profits at the top, right? It's fucking capitalist bullshit. That's what it is, mate. That's all it is.
So fucking greedy cunts.
It's them, fucking them. It's them. I'm telling you. I'll tell you another thing. Forget them small boats.
Those
Forget
fucking
this. It's the
Russians.
fucking helicopters we got to watch. The yachts. It's not some prick on a fucking dinghy. It's the wanker in a yacht. That's who we got to fucking get at. Right. I actually agree with that statement.
I think that should be a character of yours.
What, the douchebaggy bloke in the
Common
pub?
Jake. We need to think of like Jed. Your name's Jed.
What? Well, fucking anything, mate. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's got a nickname for me.
I'm related to Danny Dyer.
Yeah, and King Richard.
Yeah.
Big up.
That
Big up.
doesn't shock me.
Oh, do you know what though? I think genuinely, if I did an ancestry thing,
Yeah.
it would just be Irish and Scottish farmers.
Right. Before we start to close up, should we play one more clip? This one's of Angela Rayner.
Yes.
Who feels written off? I say to anyone who feels written off and looked down on, I've got your back. Labour is on your side. It was a Labour government that introduced the minimum wage that improved my income. A Labour government built the council houses. I got the keys to my first home to security. A Labour government that introduced equal pay and I started to save money. The Labour government took me from a council estate to the parliamentary estate. And conference, that's where my Labour values come from and my confidence to succeed. Ever since those days, to all the people who have underestimated me throughout my life, I've always said, watch this space. So I say to anyone who feels written off and looked down on, I've got your back. Labour is on your side.
Was that a joke?
To be honest,
Watch this space and this little smattering of. Did you hear it? The little.
Well, apparently during her speech, someone got on stage and they had to mute her for a second while they dealt with it and then continued.
Yeah, but you know what you're like at them conferences. You like a drink, and
Plus,
you
I just like her.
You did say that.
I just wanted to get close to her.
You running at her doing the accent was a bit much.
Yeah. One thing I would say is it's difficult to judge what's going to happen going forward because we don't know enough about Keir Starmer other than the fact he likes to flip-flop.
Fucking doesn't he? My God.
But you can also judge someone by who they surround themselves with. And
no, don't say that because then people are going to judge me.
But if you look at Rishi Sunak and you look at who he surrounded himself with, it's horrible people. Genuinely horrible people. Boris Johnson did the same. All of them have, pretty much, to be honest, even back to Cameron, having people like Osborne around him. So Keir Starmer has got people like Angela Rayner, like David Lammy, like Ed Miliband, someone who was the leader of the party he's now the leader of, but has found a place for because he has something to add and is passionate about what he does. Like, he's so passionate about the environment. Angela Rayner cares about working people. And then he surrounds himself with someone who's at least appears fairly intelligent and reasonable in Rachel Reeves, which is such a step up from what we've been dealing with. So although I may not know enough about Sir Keir Starmer, I'm slightly comforted by what I see around him.
Do you think Keir Starmer's like that at home? Do you think he sort of comes home and his wife's like, look, I'm going to treat you, what do you want for dinner? And he's like, I want egg and chips. And then just before she's about to plate up, he's like, do you know what? I think it's absolutely ridiculous that egg and chips is on offer again.
Yeah.
And
well, he's a vegetarian, so it's probably not going to be egg and chips.
What's wrong with egg? Vegan, I get.
No, but vegetarian
You
stuff.
can have egg if you're vegetarian.
No,
you can have egg.
Bro, it comes out of a chicken.
No, yeah, it comes out of a chicken. It's not the chicken.
But it is a chicken.
I'm not in the processed way. Like, the processed chickens aren't making chickens. They're just making eggs you can eat.
I've watched videos of people hatching a regular egg.
No, come on.
I've seen it.
Come on.
You're buying into the big chicken story, Jake.
I'm a big chicken. You know what? That's the other industry.
You're in the Matrix. You don't get it.
That's the other industry I'm the mouth of. I'm plugged into the big chicken.
Big chicken industry.
And the thing is, like, I think
very
chicken,
on brand.
And I love a lot of meat.
You're a big chicken.
I'm a foodie.
Yeah.
As I think we both are.
I wouldn't call myself. I'm pretty low rent. I'm sort of garbage in comparison.
No, but we like.
I enjoy eating.
You can appreciate. You can appreciate foods.
Yeah.
But I think I could for the sake of the planet and for the sake of the future of the planet.
Stop
and the
eating meat.
I think apart from chicken, I could not give up chicken.
I got to admit.
And I figure while I'm eating chicken, I might as well have a steak and a bit of pork and a bit of,
Yeah.
a bit of bacon.
Did I tell you about the bloke that shamed me about, like, tried to make me feel terrible about chickens at work?
No.
He asked me for help, and it was to do with eggs, and he was asking me, how does he know if they're free range or not? Like, and it turns out there's actually a code on every egg that's like stamped onto it, and it says inside what it means. And I was able to go, yeah, this one's fine. And then he went on to start telling me about how terribly these chickens are treated. I was like, so you know what's going on? And then I was like, no, I get it, but I love KFC. Just joking. And
Was that a mistake?
He then started going on about if you had any idea how they treat their chickens, KFC. I was like,
mate, I've seen how they treat their workers. I think I can figure out how they treat their chickens.
And afterwards, I just walked away and I was like, yeah, but the fucking gravy's fire.
Oh my God. Like, I love a KFC.
Yeah.
I do.
You won't get on well with my sister when it comes to KFC.
Does she hate it?
She likes it, just not the gravy.
Oh, the gravy's the best bit, though. The gravy is the gravy.
You're preaching to the converted, bro. She's a Philistine, what can I say?
Oh, but the gravy.
But yeah, how do you feel Labour are ready to lead?
I think a bit like you said, I think the cabinet as a whole, the shadow cabinet as a whole,
isn't bad.
Is not bad,
No.
and particularly compared to what we've had, and maybe that's part of the problem. Maybe we're holding them up to lower standards because the standards have been lowered.
So I think I look at them expecting to hear something horrible come out of their mouths.
But I still have my reservations about Sir Keir himself.
I can completely understand that. I've heard things from like the iron grip he has on the Labour Party in terms of control, and I don't.
There were
think
rumours he wanted to get rid of Rayner, weren't there? Because she was a bit too.
And like, to be honest with you, I actually don't
Non-centrist.
think he gives a shit about anti-Semitism. I just don't think he wanted Jeremy Corbyn in the party anymore.
No, because he knew that whilst Corbyn was in the party, he couldn't take it to the centre because there would always be a left-leaning split.
Yeah, Corbyn had such a huge level of support from the membership that he would have just been a thorn in his side. So I think he just used that as an opportunity.
Yeah.
To get rid of him.
Agreed.
So yeah.
Do you feel Labour are ready to lead?
More so now than I did even a week ago.
So the conference kind of has
a little
convinced you a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit, because we'd heard nothing before. So just hearing like, all right, so they're going to do some decent stuff. Do you know what I mean? And it's early doors. We're not going to get the top shelf policies right now. We'll start hearing more the closer we get. But I feel encouraged, but I'm also, like you, a bit wary about Sir Keir Starmer. So. Yeah.
Happy days then.
Sort of.
We're on agreement.
It feels like we're pointed in an upwards direction in that regard.
Yeah, but it feels like we're standing at the lowest possible point.
And the problem is we're still in a position where there's still so much damage the Tories could do between now and then. We still don't have a date for the election, so we don't actually know when it is. So it could happen in the next 6 months. It could be another year away. We don't know. So, yeah.
We gonna find out.
But for the first time in a while, things seem more positive.
To sort of quote Angela, do you have, or was it Angela Rayner, or was it Rachel Reeves, in fact, who was saying it in what we listened to today? Do you have hope?
I wouldn't say I have hope. I trust Angela Rayner, if I'm being honest.
She's the linchpin in this.
I think so. I think the fact she's his deputy leader.
If he ousted her, would you immediately drop him like a hot sack of
I
shit?
would instantly doubt, because I couldn't understand why he'd get rid of someone where their only objective is to do good for people. I wouldn't be able to, unless it was something like she was racist or horrible to someone in a way that's...
I want to help everyone, except the blacks. I want to help most people.
Or like someone we know who was like, I'm not racist, I just hate Asians.
I can't believe someone said that.
Yeah.
Like, as boldly as that.
Yeah. Really casually as well.
And meant it.
And then afterwards was like, you misunderstood what I was trying to say. It's like, no, we understood exactly.
It's a really simple statement. Like,
so yeah. But no, yeah. I mean, I wouldn't necessarily say I have hope yet, but I at least trust that the fact he's got someone like Angela Rayner with him.
I think it was only fair that we did do a little bit, or we did focus a fair amount of the last episode on the Tory conference, that we focus a a due amount on
fair. And I think we've been critical of Labour as well. Like, it's not just a case of they're on more to the left than the Tories, so we're automatically on their side. But do I think they're going to do a better job than the Tories currently? Yeah, I do, because I don't think you can get any worse.
I'm going to put you on the spot.
I think if you put the Greens in charge, the Greens would do a far better job.
I'm going to really put you on the spot.
Yeah.
You're the incoming Prime Minister.
Yeah. What's the first
so
thing
you're
I
lined
do?
up. No.
That's going to be like, it would have been Boris Johnson's answer. Blow.
I mean, yeah, you've got to get... It's a lot to take in on the first day. Little bit of coke just helps you through it. Do you know what I mean? Just gets you just kind of,
If you watched Flight, as I mentioned before, it levelled him out.
No.
Ironic considering what happens in that film.
And you've got to put me in a ministerial position. You can't back out of this and go, I'm not going to do it. Which ministerial posting would you assign me?
You feel like, and I don't know whether you'll take this the wrong way.
I almost certainly will.
Like a culture secretary to me.
Culture and sport.
Something like that. Maybe even as an out there one, like an equalities minister.
I think I would give the arts their fair due.
Or you might be the first ever mental health minister.
I could be the mental health minister, and do you know what? I wouldn't do stupid shit like come out and go, guys, just be happier. Mental health solved.
Yeah.
Job done. Call me in 5 years.
I'd like to think you'd be wary of like making sure women's mental health was just as important as males' mental health, and also for non-binary and trans people.
I still think even today, obviously we're not going to get into anything, but seeing as how you've assigned me the role, I do still think men's health has still got a long way to go. It's starting to but it's definitely starting to be talked about more, even if we're not starting to talk about our own health and feelings and stuff. But I still think women, a lot of the stuff gets dismissed as being, back in like even as late as like the 1900s or whatever, and 1800s, it was like, oh, it's hysteria, it's mad. I think women still get that. Like today, they're like, oh, but that's just women being, and feminine traits, they're like, well, that's just what women are, isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's like, I don't think it is. I think we're just missing a lot of this.
No, we're being
through sexism.
Yeah, it's very generalist and misogynistic.
And how many men do you know, even if I don't believe that you believe this,
but
how many men do you know that will genuinely believe if a woman is experiencing some kind of emotional up or down or whatever, particularly an emotional down, would just go, it's probably a period thing. Like, but there are men out there that still genuinely think that.
It's funny. That's never my first go-to. Like,
no,
genuinely
it's never been mine.
Like, even with like Leanne, like with any relationship, you have moments of emotion and stuff, and never does it go in my head like, babe, never ever.
But I think there are definitely.
Oh, of course there are. Yeah, I think anytime a man has his advances rebuffed by a woman, I think quite often that's it's either she's a lesbian or it's her time of the month.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
The lesbian.
Just speaking of lesbian, by the way, and this is, I just got to say this quickly because I saw this today, in fact, and it made me laugh so much. Because we've always said like,
is Ellen DeGeneres back?
We've always said like with the anti-trans stuff, they're not going to stop at trans people.
No.
They'll come for all of you. I saw a tweet today from a what's the term? TERF.
Yes.
Who said
trans exclusionary radical feminist?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, trans exclusionary.
That's the one.
She might have said that, to be honest. I'm just processing it slowly. But she genuinely tweeted a thing and was like, do you know who else has an unfair advantage in sports? And the reason that I'm not going to let my girls do certain sports, aggressive lesbians.
Immediately, let's say the sport we're both thinking of is rugby.
Oh yeah, right.
I was thinking women's rugby immediately. I was like, "There's some."
Because that's the thing.
Lesbians.
And then her defence was like, "Think about it. How many gay women do sports?"
Do you know what? I'm not agreeing with it. I understand.
You can see how she's got there.
Yeah,
you can see the working out.
What she's saying.
You can see the working out.
But yeah, I just find that funny.
And it is. But the thing is, we laugh about it now. But if someone had said the same thing about trans people 5-10 years ago, we'd have laughed about it then.
Yeah.
And we're not laughing now.
No.
So I'm glad we can laugh about it now. But we've also got to be very vigilant and careful that 5 or 10 years from now, we're not suddenly going, fucking hell, this ain't a joke. They're actually being,
we've got to be
targeted for elimination. We have got to be gay allies.
Yeah. and I will always ally myself to the gays.
You've got to have a mark. I think they would eat you up.
I think they love me.
I think if you...
They have loved me. And, like, we've met some really amazing gay people as well. Like, there was my ex-girlfriend that was gay. She was lovely. And she had 2 gay best mates. I mean, that should have... Really.
Oh, yeah.
And do you remember we went out New Year's Eve one night?
Yeah.
And the girl I was dating actually went home because she was unwell. And we ended up staying out with her 2 gay best friends. And he was one of the most like out there, flamboyant gay guys you meet. He was brilliant. And he's an absolute legend. He likes a lot of our stuff still, bless him.
Does he?
Yeah, he quite often likes our posts.
Oh, I'm going to feel really bad now because I don't remember his name.
His name's Danny.
Danny.
Yeah.
Big up the Danny.
Yeah, absolute legend. And he was...
Always remembered his name.
He was madly in love with Pod Royalty.
Steersy, wasn't it?
Steersy, yeah. He was constantly...
I remember that. He had a little crush on Steersy.
He was on it like a bonnet, mate.
Who can blame him? We've all seen him.
Yeah, magnificent.
It's a specimen
And
of a
Lil's
man.
all right.
Specimen of a man.
Yeah, Danny was.
He was a specimen
Lil's
of
all
a
right.
man. Lil does okay.
Yeah.
You know, I'm not saying Donna could do better,
She could
but
definitely
I'm thinking
do
Donna could probably
She
do
could
better. You
definitely
know,
do better.
she's happy where she is and no one's mad at her.
Imagine the aliens meme guy. I'm not saying she can do better, but she can do better.
You know, she's happy where she is, and it's not a bad place to be.
No, he's all right. He's doing good.
He's doing fine. He's doing fine.
Yeah,
you know,
he's
they're doing fine.
I've heard he does a completely adequate job. Do you
That's
know
what
I mean?
I've heard. That's what I've heard.
And look, that's the bar to aim for.
Those are the
I find.
rumours I'm spreading.
Yeah, like, and we know some of his friends listen to this as well. So I hope they're listening to this as well.
They know.
Yeah,
they know.
He's perfectly adequate, and look, there's no shame in it. Shout out to all the adequate homies out there. Do you know what I mean?
And all the adequate homos. To the homies and the homos.
Yeah, to the homies
who are
and the
just getting
homos.
by.
Yeah, adequate.
Who are just enough.
Yeah, just enough.
Who are just Ken.
There is nothing wrong with.
Oh,
being
you've
just enough.
not seen Barbie, have you?
No, I haven't.
Fuck's sake. You're ruining the bit. You're ruining the bit, bro.
To be honest,
you are Ken-off.
When stuff like that happens, it's sort of for a bit, I'm like, nah, people are too into it, and I don't want to be disappointed.
I feel like that with
by
TV
it.
shows.
I was the same. I've started watching Breaking Bad, and I'm watching it
Oh,
slowly.
yes, you have. I love Breaking Bad.
I'm really enjoying
I love
it.
Breaking Bad.
Um,
Have you met Mike yet?
Yeah.
I love Mike.
And who's his boss? Caesar?
Well, he's kind of like Sal's guy, but also
No, but he's actually employed by the chicken dude.
Gus Fring,
That's the one.
who's brilliant. Giancarlo
There's a scene where he,
Esposito.
and spoilers, he like just walks into the room and he's pissed off with them, and just says nothing the entire time. And Bryan Cranston is like panicking. He's like, you know, don't do this. It's your fault. And he says nothing, and then just stabs a bloke in the neck, walks away, and then before he leaves, I can't remember what he says, but he says something. But the acting, like the intensity in the moment's
Oh,
brilliant.
it's badass. I love him.
And yeah, it's just mental.
Yeah.
So I'm enjoying it, but I don't think I'd have been. I think I'd have been disappointed at the time.
I'll tell you now because
I'd have been like, "This is good," but it's not.
So you've done season like 2, 3, whatever, right?
I want to say I must be on season 4 now.
Okay, because like one of the darkest moments and it was so well acted is him standing over Jane, watching her die
having an overdose.
whilst Jesse sleeps next to her. Kind of that's like one of the coldest moments in telly.
Yeah.
And it's a real powerful moment because it's like
you see it dawn on him in the moment, don't you?
It's almost an affirmation of Walter White is dead.
Yeah.
Heisenberg lives.
Yeah, and another
That's
one
who
of
he
those
is now.
moments for me was when he told his ex to go fuck herself. When she's looking down on him, he's like, "Fuck you," and I was like, "Go on, Walter, mate, you're embracing it."
It was like that was the kind of, for me when I was watching it, that was the moment. Standing over Jane was like.
I think what the real genius of the show is that you're relating to him, you're willing him on, and at no point like you understand what his motivation is and why he's.
It's a bit like watching The Sopranos, where it's like these people are nasty bastards, but you're rooting for them.
Yeah,
almost.
it's in a relatable way somehow.
Like, but that's the thing, and I think he's past the point now of doing it for his family. He's now.
Oh, he's enjoying it. He gets a kick from it. You know, the violence.
Yeah, and I'm not going to spoil anything.
No, absolutely.
But you know, there's some beautiful moments on that and on that theme later on.
You can absolutely see why Saul's got his own TV show. So no, he's brilliant. The only character I'm not yet really in love with him is Jesse. Like I get it, But like, I'm not like his acting is brilliant, Aaron Paul, in terms of playing that character and the extremes he goes through. But the character himself, I'm not like. He just gets on my tits a lot.
I think I really came round to him when his own mum called the police on him.
Okay.
You know, and I think it was that point where it was like he's trying to kind of redeem himself.
Yeah.
And they're like, "No, we're done with you." And you can kind of see it's like he's almost like, "What's the fucking
when he
point
gets
of trying?"
the house back off of him. Well. I was like, yeah, that was good.
That whole like journey for me was a kind of.
No, that's fair. But I'm not in love with his character.
But that's got nothing to do with Labour. That's got nothing to do with my position.
I think that's a pod, bro.
I think that's a pod. Will you vote for us at the next election? Well, you can't. You'll just have to vote for someone else.
I think people would love the Crossing Swords Party, but I don't want to be a meme like Count Binface. Like, and full respect to Count Binface, by the way. He puts himself out there.
We can't be the party that turns up and goes, right, we've got a Minister for Equality. It's a start, isn't it? You know, it's something.
I think I would say now you would be the mental health minister.
Okay, well, we've got a Minister for Mental Health, so we can console ourselves when we lose.
I know who my Chancellor of the Exchequer is.
It's one of two.
I mean,
you could split the role. You could split the role.
No, the other one is obviously the assistant. We all know that. It's taken him, 20 years to get qualified as an accountant. I can't.
Been very busy starting a family.
Well, look, that was his decision. Tony knuckled down. And he's going to be my Chancellor of the Exchequer. He can be the second he can be the assistant Chancellor of the Exchequer. Dave can, but Tony's my Chancellor.
I'll go for it. You could even try and poach some of the current politicians.
Ash would be my defence minister.
Oh, well, that's not the worst thing in the world.
No, I just think he'd be very fuck off to people. Like, what do you mean? That's not our border. That's exactly like he would just go somewhere, like maybe to the Falklands, and he'll be like, actually start taking bits of Argentina.
Well,
like, that was always ours.
Just go over there and just be like, stop me.
Just rolls in with tanks. He's like, we were here all along.
I don't care what you say. Like, oh, it's yours.
Yeah.
So what's a bit of paper? I don't
what
give a
would
shit.
we make Alex? What would Alex be?
What would Alex be?
He would be my sports minister. He loves cricket, so he can actually say he likes cricket. So, and he likes rugby. He likes a smorgasbord.
What he won't do is make a really cringe Twitter post.
Yeah.
Where he's like, go on the basketballers, go and get a goal.
Might accidentally repost Twitter porn.
That's one of my. His likes are going to be absolutely off the chart.
So yeah,
that's the only scandal of the party.
We'll have to dedicate more time to this and figure out who our cabinet.
Do you know what? Can I propose? And this is an insight for people into what the inner workings of the party are going to be, the conversations that are going on behind closed doors. Can I propose that when the scandal breaks, that
you'll propose what I tell you? You can.
Of course I will, Minister. Of course I will, Prime Minister. But can I propose that when the story breaks and Alex's likes are being criticised all over the place,
do you want to be deputy leader as well?
Yes, please. Thank you.
You can be deputy leader and my Minister for Mental Health.
I think our official stance should be, listen, guys, wank into sport. Okay, the sports minister. So you're revoking it, aren't you? You're second guessing it.
You might no longer be my deputy leader.
You don't think
you can still be the Minister for Mental Health because look, you'll be making people laugh.
You don't think that should be the defence?
For people's mental
you don't
health.
think that should be Alex is liking a load of porn, and we go, do you know what, guys? Wanking is actually good exercise for someone who can't walk.
Well, look, I'll have advisors for how to deal with the press. I won't necessarily come to you on what the approach should be.
Okay, I see how it is.
But I feel like your input on mental health will be invaluable.
Let's be clear now.
And you're posh enough that you will appeal as my deputy to the Tory crowd.
My airtime is going to be very limited in the run-up to general election, isn't it?
You'll just be there in the background waving. I'm
going to be the guy that gets booked last minute because no one else is available.
You'll be, as you said in one of our clip videos, shaking babies and cutting hands. So yeah. Guys, tell us what you think, which one of us should be Prime Minister out of the two of us. Which one would make the better Prime Minister. Whether Jake would even make a good Cabinet Minister. I know
Let's not get crazy.
Cabinet Minister.
Let's not give him too many options.
But yeah, let us know what you think about the episode.
I'm out there every day and I know what the people want. And they don't want options.
No, they don't. They just want to be told.
They just want to be told what to do when they're doing it.
Yeah. But let us know what you think.
How can they do
ready
that?
To lead, and they can do that quite easily, Jake. They can email us at crossingswords19@gmail.com. They can tweet us or they can X us at
Fuck Musk, tweet.
They can tweet us at Swords Crossing.
Fuck that space obsessed
We're
ball
on
bag.
Facebook at Crossing Swords. We are on Instagram and the TikTok at Crossing Swords _podcast. And everything's on YouTube now. And our link to our YouTube page is in the description of every audio episode. So check that out as well. Please like and subscribe, share it.
Yes. Wherever you're listening to this, rate it, subscribe
Just
it,
drop
like
a
it.
fucking like, right?
Share it.
Go in the link to the episode, click on the most recent episode, just click like.
Yes, go to the page, click like, click follow.
And then fuck off again. That's fine. You don't have to watch it if you don't want to.
Give us 5 stars.
If you prefer audio, but, you know.
And if you want to see what the internet thinks of us, hit the comment section on YouTube.
But for the new listeners we're getting, thank you for coming in.
Welcome.
Welcome to the Crossing Swords family.
Conference. Can I tell you? You are
You'll
welcome.
tell them what I tell you.
I will listen to my boss.
And we'll see you next week.
Can I say that?
Yeah, it's fine.
Boss man? No, boss man's a bit inappropriate, isn't it? Boss man's like chicken chop.
Top G.
Top G. Can I say that, Top G?
Yeah.
We're going to revolutionise politics, my man.